Alright, what is going on, guys? This is Eduardo Betancourt, of course, of the infamous podcast Legend Killers. And it's been a little while since I've done one of these, so, just so you know, it's not an Eduardo Asylum, it's not a podcast Legend Killers, it's just me giving my thoughts on Jinder Mahal, his title run, and his spot. So, I'm very gender neutral, as one of my favorite podcasters coined it, Solo Monster, gender neutral. So, where should I begin with Jinder Mahal? Okay, I want to talk about his rise to the top. Basically, his whole I beat Sami Zayn in a 6-pack challenge and all that wonderful stuff, and see how well this story was. And I could understand, don't get me wrong, I understand both sides of the coin as to why you don't want him as champion, but as to why you do want him as champion. And there's a lot of things going on there when people talk about Jinder Mahal. So yeah, let's talk about this. I think in story it makes sense for him to be WWE champion. Now, why do I think it makes sense is because the Bollywood Boys, or the Singh brothers as they're now known. And the reason I say that makes sense is because with the Singh brothers, they have been played as Jinder Mahal's insurance plan. Now, if you think about it, it's true, because Jinder Mahal, before he had the Singh brothers, has not won a match by himself in a long time. Hell, I don't even think up until his match with Mojo Rawley he's won a single match clean. And with the Singh brothers, he's been able to beat Sami Zayn, he's been able to beat Randy Orton, he's been able to beat a few other names. So, he hasn't lost with the Bollywood Boys by his side. And I apologize if I keep calling them that, and they're supposed to be the Singh brothers, but force of habit, my bad. And ever since then, that's been the storyline. It makes sense, because I can easily see this being played up as, oh, Jinder Mahal has not lost since aligning himself with the Bollywood Boys. And I can easily see the Bollywood Boys turning on him, and eventually you work this program with Jinder Mahal against the Singh brothers. And that's the first time I've called them the Singh brothers since this video, without correcting myself. But seriously, I think with the Singh brothers, it makes sense in story. They've been that additional boost for Jinder Mahal. Now, would I have Jinder Mahal become WWE champion? No. I would not have him become WWE champion. And honestly, up until now, I did not see him as WWE champion. And I think certainly not before I would put Sami Zayn as WWE champion. Certainly not before I would put somebody, even back then, like Christian has never been WWE champion, but Jinder Mahal has. That is crazy to me, Dolph Ziggler has not become WWE champion. I'm a little flabbergasted at that. Somebody like Ziggler, who's been there for years, you would think he would finally reach that carrot, but he hasn't. Okay, so Jinder Mahal is WWE champion before a lot of these names that a lot of people want to be WWE champion. Okay, fair enough. Nothing you can do about it. You just have to accept it. Now, of course, there's also that little item that they have a world tour in India coming up soon, and of course, that's why they put him as WWE champion. Where do I begin? Look, something tells me he's not going to be champion very long after the tour's over. So putting him as champion, is it really worth it? I mean, yeah, you get that big pop, in house show numbers, but still, it's like, mm, um, now what do I think of Jinder Mahal as an overall performer? Okay, I gave him a chance, and I said when he initially got that number one contender spot, I said if Jinder Mahal can entertain me as a fan, make me into a fan, hell yeah. Hell yeah, I'm good with him getting this opportunity. And you know what? It is the land of opportunity, so why not? Why not give Jinder Mahal that chance? And since then, we have gotten promos such as, "You boo me because I speak two different languages." And then another week, it would be, "You boo me because I am from India. You boo me because this," and it's just been that typical formula with Jinder Mahal. And I've been saying, like, oh my god, if Jinder Mahal keeps doing this, I cannot buy into this. As a fan, I cannot buy into this. Hell, it's a wonder to me. Like, you'd say that that negative publicity, that negative reaction equals money, but guess what? There's a guy who gets more reactions on SmackDown, gets more boos on SmackDown than Jinder Mahal, for example. James Ellsworth gets more negative reactions than Jinder Mahal. And if you don't believe me, here's a little bit of sound clip. And the reason it's sound clip is because, well, copyright purposes. So here, listen to Jinder Mahal.
This is exactly what's wrong with SmackDown Live. This is exactly what's wrong with management. And this is exactly what's wrong with all of you people.
Okay, so now that you've listened to him, listen to James Ellsworth.
Everybody stop yesing and shut up!
So that right there tells you just who gets a little more reaction. And if we're basing things off of negative reactions, I would not put Jinder Mahal, in as a top contender. I would put Kevin Owens more as a top contender than I would. Oh, sorry, as I would for a Jinder Mahal, than a Jinder Mahal, because Kevin Owens also gets a lot more of a reaction than a Jinder Mahal does, and I could pull up a screen like that, but you know what? I'm not going to, because all you have to do is just watch Kevin Owens match, hear the first note of his music, all of a sudden we're hearing a Brock Lesnar pop. I hear Jinder Mahal's music, and yeah, you get a few boos in here and there, but it's a very polite reaction. And I mean polite as though, it's very soft, his reactions for Jinder Mahal, and, it's like, I'm sure there are some die-hard Jinder Mahal fans, just as there are some people who legitimately hate Jinder Mahal's, character. And I hope they don't hate Jinder Mahal the person, because then what are you going to do? I mean, listen, I would hate for that. I wouldn't wish that on anybody, But in all seriousness, though, like, Jinder Mahal, I feel like, for those, a large majority, and I'm not saying, all Jinder Mahal fans, but a large majority only are happy with Jinder Mahal being champion because Randy Orton isn't champion, and it's somebody new, and I get that. But we could get other people. There are other options who are better heels than Jinder Mahal. So that kind of baffles my mind that you'd give him a shot before you would give someone like let me just pull out the well, somebody like Kevin Owens. And yeah, Kevin Owens has been world champion at one point, but he's proven that he could pull out a lot more of a reaction than a Jinder Mahal. And he could pop bigger numbers than Jinder Mahal. I'm sure he can. He draws more. He's a big seller. I'm sure he's a top seller. And I haven't done my official research on this, but I probably don't even have to. So, that's one thing, like, why Jinder Mahal? But it's not, this isn't a whole, I'm going to bash Jinder Mahal for a good, however long this video lasts. let me pull out another name. Xavier Woods. You know, I'm sure he hasn't been heel other than his first run with New Day, but you know, but he's been getting some pretty good reactions as a heel. Now, I would like to see him break off into his own branch as a top heel or a top face, because I would love to see that NXT character we got in, you know, an NXT, or a new character, something that kind of throws back his character as to what he was. You know, that PhD guy, he was very serious at some points. And I'm kind of basing this off of his feud with CJ Parker. From what I remember, he was very serious. He was, you know, mad. And I'm sure he was a little bit more lighthearted. But for that particular feud, we saw a very serious... okay, let me put this mic down. We saw a very particularly serious Xavier Woods. And I could buy that. Or, you know, we could get a Biggie Langston also, you know. Let me see. Cesaro, I could see him being a heel and, you know, getting a run with that WWE title. Dolph Ziggler, as I previously mentioned. Hell, I think in my prediction/expectation videos for 2017, I said that Dolph Ziggler would be a WWE champion somewhere down the line, and I still stand by that. I still stand by that prediction. I hope he does, and you know, I would love to. So, you know, I'm sure Dolph Ziggler could sell. Hell, if it's about sales and merchandise, Dolph Ziggler sells a lot more than Jinder Mahal would. I'm sure Jinder Mahal didn't even have a damn dime to his name before he won that six-pack challenge. He was just an afterthought. So, you know, it's, again, with respect to Jinder Mahal, I think there are better options. That's my thoughts on Jinder Mahal. Now, what would I like to see change with Jinder Mahal? Okay. Well, first things first, I'll probably get rid of this. I would get rid of the typical, the boo format that he gets, the typical promos. I think he needs a lot more work with that. I think he's good in the ring. He's definitely a skilled worker. I like him a lot. But yeah, probably the promos especially. Now, how long do I see him being WWE champion? Again, not long after the tour in India is over, and I could see him dropping it. Well, actually, I don't even know when this tour in India is, but whenever that tour is over, I expect him to drop it. You know, his next feud, and hopefully not back to Randy. My prediction is that Jinder Mahal will will work a program with the Bollywood Boys after he drops that title. I could see him turning on the Bollywood Boys, and you know that they will turn heel, and we'll get like this handicap match or something. And I could see maybe Jinder Mahal going over on that to kind of solidify the guy as a big name. Still keep the guy a big name. Or, you know, the Bollywood Boys could win, and, you know, they could kind of solidify their role as solid tag team guys. Because I know the tag team division definitely needs that. So, you can't go wrong with whoever wins that feud, but that's assuming they have the feud. So, after he drops the title, which will be whenever it will be, what do you do with Jinder Mahal? That's the question you got to ask yourself here. And I really don't see any other option other than a breakup between these guys. And then, you know, whoever wins and they both go their separate ways, and Jinder Mahal, I could see him working in the mid-card division. Rusev's another guy who could have taken the spot really well, and you know, I think he could have benefited a lot. But again, Rusev was injured, and I'm fine with that. I honestly thought that Ziggler was going to win the Money in the Bank this year, and then cash in on Randy and Ziggler, and then like the next night or on SmackDown, you have a triple threat, and that'll be the end of their feud. And then you have Ziggler feud with Randy or Jinder, whatever. And then from there, you have SummerSlam, and you work him and Sami Zayn for the WWE title. That's what I would have done. So now we have gone into Jinder Mahal's run as WWE champion. Well, actually, that's where I was actually going to go. No, we've gone into my thoughts as Jinder Mahal winning the WWE champion, and, you know, my thoughts on that. So, now we see Jinder Mahal as pretty much the absolute paper champion here. And yes, I don't like this format of every heel has to be a paper champion. Seth Rollins, for example, he could not beat a guy without being scared of the guy. Like, I just did not understand that. And on pay-per-view, the only two people he beat cleanly was Dean Ambrose. And yes, he beat Dean Ambrose cleanly. Money in the Bank. Now, controversy or not, it was still clean. It was still a clean win. And then there's Kane. You know, and I'm sure they called an audible on the match with Sting, so I guess if you count Sting, that's 3 people. 3 people. You know? And it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, you know, he did not beat Brock Lesnar. He did not beat Cena. He did not beat, who else did he work a feud with on pay-per-view? He did not beat Randy Orton cleanly. He beat practically nobody cleanly. So, you know, when you see something like that, it's ridiculous to me. Like, CM Punk, when he was a heel, he still beat people cleanly. He still had clean wins. You know, Seth Rollins, hell, on TV, you know, he had a terrible win-loss streak. Like, he beat Neville, I remember that. But he lost practically every match, you know. He lost to Dean Ambrose more often than not, you know. He lost to Cena more often than not. It was ridiculous for Seth, you know. And he should not be playing, you know, that typical, you know, heel, that chicken shit heel. Yeah, I honestly thought the guy, you know, should be winning more matches than he should be losing them, and stop being scared of every freaking guy. It's ridiculous. Kevin Owens also kind of had that a little bit. You know, I barely remember his title run, I'm going to be honest with you, because Raw was not, Raw, I did not tune in every single week, because Raw, oh my god. Not to knock all the superstars, but, you know, some of the storylines were just, and then I had my Brand Lloyd thing going on, but anyway, I do remember Kevin Owens not winning every single match cleanly, but I'm sure he won a few matches cleanly, you know. So it's like, things like that just annoy me to no end. And now we're seeing that with Jinder Mahal, who I think could be doing a lot better. I think we're going to have this Punjabi prison match, right? And I think, personally, if you want to solidify Jinder Mahal as a top guy, have him win cleanly. Now, I don't see how you can kind of win dirty here, because the Bollywood boys have no chance of getting in unless they climb over, and that's not till way later, so we'll have to see. But I could see the Bollywood boys climbing over and distracting Randy, and yet again Jinder Mahal gets that win somehow, but I don't want to see that. I'm not sure if I want to see that. I would rather Jinder Mahal wins cleanly and goes over Randy here, because at this point the guy needs that, and hell, it'll be a good solidification for the guy to prove, hey, I don't need the Bollywood boys to win, because not every single heel needs to be a paper champion, and right now he is the ultimate paper champion, and I think we need a little more character development than that. So, yeah, he's been losing, or well, I wouldn't say losing because he's been winning, but he's been needing the help of Mojo Rawley. I was just about to say, he, other than his match with Mojo Rawley, you know, he hasn't won a clean match. You know, he's been winning more. He's been winning with the Bollywood Boys intact. Yep. But that's pretty much it. You know, I think we need to see a few more clean wins. Like, I would love to see him win clean over Randy. You know, that's the only name that comes in mind. So, yeah, I think if you're gonna play your cards right with this guy and make him a long-term thing, which I don't see happening, but if you're gonna prove me wrong and you're gonna go long-term with the guy, hell yeah, have him win clean. Have him win clean every now and again. You know. So, yeah, that's pretty much been it. That's been my thoughts on Jinder Mahal. And, yeah, alright. So, thank you guys for checking it out. Thank you guys for listening to this thing. I'm glad you managed to listen to, what, 21 minutes of this? Hell! Alright, so, yeah. Anyway, again, thank you guys. Have fun with the rest of your day, and good night. One more thing here I wanted to add here. I'm not entirely done, but it's because I wanted to clarify one extra statement I made in the past in this video, and that was some fans will want Jinder Mahal as champion because, you know, they don't want Randy. And then I also said, and I quote, and then, you know, it's also because it's something new, and I get that. So, when I said that, what I meant by I get that is, I get that they want something new. You know, just so people don't misinterpret here. When I say, as far as people saying, oh, well, I want Jinder Mahal as champion because I don't want Randy as champion, here's my take on that. I think fans should want someone to become champion because they want that person to become champion. Not so be pro wrestler X and not so anti wrestler Y, so to speak. So, you know, as a company, I would be thinking that more along those lines, you know. Like when Dean Ambrose was feuding with Seth Rollins, I wanted Dean Ambrose to be champion because I wanted Dean Ambrose to be WWE champion. Not because I was against Seth Rollins being champion. No, just like that type of thing. And I know there were people who were more anti-Seth Rollins than pro Dean Ambrose. But, you know, that's just an example, you know. I think people should be invested in the guy, in the challenger, if you're planning to change hands. If you want this person to be champion, you have to have people get into this guy. You have to have people be like, I want this person as my champion, you know. And sure, it doesn't have to be everybody, because guess what? You're not going to be able to impress everybody, you know. There's just a simple fact of life. Not everybody's going to like you for whatever reason. Sometimes there's no reason at all. But you got to get at least a majority, you know. Try to get at least 60%, you know. That's kind of my take on it. So, like, if you're going to have AJ Styles be the next champion, have that be because, you know, people want AJ Styles as champion, not because people want that title off of Jinder Mahal. So, yeah, I just wanted to add that little extra note. And, yeah. Alright, this time, I'm out, guys. Good night. And, yeah. Son of a bitch, my thing froze. How's it going, guys? Come on.